This is the brand new Riviera 6200 Sport Yacht Platinum Edition. I'm here for the world premiere at the Sanctuary Cove International Boat Show to see exactly what Riviera have achieved with this one. It supersedes the hugely successful 6000 Sport Yacht. So expectations quite high with this one. Looks fantastic on paper, but I can't wait to grab that camera and take you on board. You'll be the first ones to see it. So let's get started. We're here nice and early to do this walkthrough for you. The boat is actually still being detailed. It's about 7:15 in the morning. So we're going to duck and weave around the boat. But let's start right here. So these are hydraulic high-low swim platforms. I'm seeing these on the new release Rivieras where we've got these three sections. So obviously your tender comes out of the tender garage there on those rollers, and then from here what it allows you to do is obviously put those chocks in, drop it into the water, but it also creates a couple of steps into the water, so that's nice for guests to be able to move down into the tender like that. Sort of it's a nice guest comfort, but it also gives the guests somewhere to dangle their feet into the water as well when that platform is submerged. So that's quite a nice thing to be able to do for guests, and a very practical thing as well. Now there's two ways forward up onto the aft cockpit. On the port side you can see that we've got one of the two ways into the engine room. We won't take that way. I'll show you which way we will take towards the end of the tour. But what we'll do is we'll come up through the starboard steps and we'll have a look at the cockpit, because this is one of the areas where I think Riviera have tweaked things, but they've really got it quite right. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So one of the things that's really important, of course, with a sport yacht, which has, you know, a real entertaining focus, is to make the space easy to move around and to have everything you need, but still make it feel uncluttered. And they've really achieved that quite cleverly. So what you've got is this very large Euro lounge here at the transom, which could easily sit 4 people. You can see there, just with the sun behind it, that awning will come all the way down for privacy and sunshade. But what they've done is they've moved this summer kitchen all the way forward, so it butts right up against those glass doors. And it gives you a little bit more room back here. And then you've also got this corner dinette for 6 to 7 people. This table, this beautiful teak table, leafs in like so. So you can still use it for your drink holders if you're not dining. So it gives you even more space to move around this area. And it's all under the cover as well of the hard top. And then if you're looking for more light, then you can also bring open, it's like a skylight type arrangement just there, so you can really fill this up with light at different times of the day or close it up. It's really up to you. But the summer kitchen, I think's had a bit of an uplift. I really like the way they've color coded the bottom there. That looks pretty cool instead of it just being plain white GRP. And underneath this big chunky Corian top, you've got double electric grills for all your summer barbecuing. And then further forward, oops, that's not that one, it's this one. You've got a pop-up sink. There's a lot of refrigeration on this sports yacht. That's a trademark of all of Riviera's sports yachts. This one's the ice maker. So there's another one there. And then under here, you've got a place for rubbish, which is super handy. So that one works super well. It sets up this space really, really well. You can take a lot of people here. You could have easily 12 people if you were day boating like this. And it feels really uncluttered, and I think they've really nailed this space. And a couple of other guest conveniences are, we've now got side boarding gates on both sides there, right at the entrance to the cockpit. So that's also really convenient and well thought out as well. And there's also been a little bit of a different treatment to these rear quarter panels. So it does sort of open up this space. It's a sort of a little design feature, but it does kind of add to the profile of the boat and does enhance the views out from the cockpit. So I think they've done really well there. As well as, you can see we've got these clears on there. It's hard to pick up on the camera, but that just allows you to keep the wind and any spray, etc., off your guests who are enjoying this space. So it looks like that. Something for the owner and the operator is that we've now got a wing station here on the starboard side, and if I swing around over here to the port side, we've got a second of those. So that's obviously super convenient. Now this is going to be a boat that's operated by the owner, and so that's super important. And I'll come back to a few other points about other owner features that I think they've got right. But one of the things you want with a sport yacht is you want different zones so that guests can spread out. This term intergenerational boating now, we use that a lot to talk about boats that can have parents, children, grandparents, extended families on board together, creating, great memories. And so part of that is you might want to be able to have different parts of the boat, used by different people. And up here, we've got this area on the foredeck, which is all about lounging and getting away. Underneath the covers are sun lounges, and they're quite cleverly arranged because you've got this clear passageway through like this. You can pop a table into that little slot just there, so this becomes a little casual dinette area. And then if you want, these sun pads actually have backrests that ratchet up, so these can face forward, or you could use them like I am now, where you might just be sitting and talking and facing everybody else, or you could put that backrest up and look out of the bow, and that would just be lovely. So as a zone in and of itself, that one works particularly well. Getting up here is pretty comfortable as well. So the side decks are pretty comfortable. It's about shoulder width when you walk around, and the railings that you can see there, they're about waist height. So you do feel pretty secure. I think regardless of who you were, you'd feel okay making your way up here. Another point to make is if you're not wanting to be sort of sitting in the full sun, you can in fact use bimini poles and erect a full shade across this forward lounging area. So you've got the flexibility there of using that in a variety of different ways. Just quickly touching on the anchor setup here, you've obviously got these two anchor lockers, anchor winch, etc. Just one thing to note, which I like the way that Riv and other builders do it, to be fair, is to create this sort of recessed area here so that any muck, mud or dirt that comes up on the anchor chain is captured in there, and you can easily wash that down and it doesn't make its way onto the deck and onto people's feet and through the rest of the boat. So up there for thinking. We'll head back down the side deck, and as you can see, it's pretty comfortable for me to walk around. So to that point earlier, it's an easy boat to move your way around. And we'll come back and we'll check out the saloon, because it's another area where I think Riviera have sort of mastered their trade, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. The first thing they've done is they've created really clever zones when it comes to catering and entertaining. So to the port side, they've arranged all of the refrigeration and all of the cooling drawers. So that goes for the wine fridge just there. You've got these drawers here, which I believe are the adjustable types. Those drawers that you can set the temperature to be either a freezer or a fridge. There looks like there's 2 of those. And there's also a conventional fridge section like that. So there's a lot of cooling available. We've also got the C-zone system now. And then you've got this set up here, which I think would work perfectly as like a little mini bar. I'll show you why, because underneath here, we've got an area that will take tall bottles, champagne, wine, Prosecco, whatever you choose, and keep those nice and cool like a little cooler. That works super, super well. So that's a really discreet area all on its own. But then if we spin around to starboard, we can see the full galley. And a few things they're doing now which look terrific are these waterfall features where the bench top flows all the way over to the sides. That's a classy look. You can also see how they've arranged it so that all of their switches for lights, they're really easy to find. So if you want to change the mood in the cockpit or in the salon, in the saloon rather, that's easy to find. But what I like what Riviera are doing now is they're leaving all of this bench space here directly underneath that large opening window section, so that the guys have staged it beautifully. So if you're preparing meals, you can pass those directly out, take plates off people. That just makes servicing your guests super, super easy. Clever catering design. You've also got the 240 outlets there, so you might be wanting to use your Spotify playlist to play some music, charge your phones. That's all super convenient. And then you've also got regular kitchen galley features, ovens there, induction cooktops there, sinks there, and then these have covers, so that you can see that's the half sink cover there, and there's also the full sink cover there. But that's super convenient because it clearly gives you a lot of workable bench top space, as well as making these functional. That's a little a little rubbish composite. So I think they've really nailed their galley and their cooling area on this one, and I'm seeing this pop up now on some of their other models too. I think that's the right type of arrangement. Another zone for guests, whether you want to not be in the sun and come indoors during the day or gather during the evening, it's this zone right here where we've got 2 sets of lounges. The larger of those is the one in front of you. You've got these beautiful large window sections that will just give you a stunning view out. It's pretty early morning here, so you might have come up out of the lower deck and grabbed a coffee and just enjoying that there with a bit of morning sun. That would be delightful. Or opposite that, you might have this smaller settee just here, and there's a television that pops up behind there. So you'd use that larger lounge to sit there and enjoy whatever it might be that you're viewing, but that sets up exceptionally well. And the other thing that they've got really right is, as I said, the flow through the boat feels really easy to me. So you've got this center passageway that takes you all the way to the helm, down to the lower deck, but you've also got this, if I turn right, you've also got this easy access out through that pantograph door, and you can head up to that forward deck where we were earlier. So it just feels like an easy boat to move around, really well laid out. Everything's here, but it doesn't feel at all cluttered or bolted on. It all feels very seamless and very designed. The last of the 3 lounging areas is this one. So this would be a perfect place to come and talk to the captain or the owner, I guess it would be, wouldn't it? And have this lovely view out of that forward windscreen. Space here for a couple of people easily. read a book, have something to hang on to, that's a lovely spot. And then talking of the owner and operating this boat, we've got this new look helm, and I'll just get the camera in that just that right position so you can see there the carbon fibre. It's a really good looking helm now that Riviera have put together. Not only does it look really stylish and uplifted, you know, it's got these beautiful contours that are incorporated into the design, that sort of stitched finish, that is beautiful. The two very, very big Garmin multifunction displays. But then you've also got things at your fingertip. You've got the C-Zone system just here. You've got all of your switches, which are really well backlit for things like the wipers. You've got, you can open and close the sunroofs, all sorts of things there, lights, horns, heaters, windscreen wipers, all of those things are just there. And then if you are operating the boat, you've got this view out, and then in the helm seat, you are spoilt for ergonomics because right at your fingertips, you've got the bow and stern thrusters just there, the engine controls to the Volvo Penta engines, a joystick control, and then there's also these, you know, they're like a mouse control, similar to what you'd have on a computer, but they allow you to operate the multifunction displays without having to lean forward. So if you were sitting right back, you don't have to lean all the way forward. You can just toggle those from there, so that's super convenient. A place to put your feet, like there. There's also these little fold-out footrests like that. So if you were doing a longer passage, we'll talk about range a little bit later, very, very comfortable. That's a good look at those helm chairs. They're great looking things, finished off in this like leather and marine suede. They are really high-end things, fully actuated, so you can move it to your choice. And you can make yourself pretty comfortable there. We've got this big sunroof, so if you want to close that over and have it more shade, you can do that. But we've got it open right now, and it just pours in the sunshine into this saloon, and it makes it feel like a really bright and open and airy space to be in. It feels really inviting. So we've seen the cockpit, the saloon, the forward deck. There's a few other things to show you. The accommodation is really well done. It's a 3-cabin layout, and there's also a little surprise. I'll show you what that looks like. This is the VIP forward into the bow. It's got the big queen floating island berth with storage underneath like that. Something I've noticed Riviera doing now is they've changed the cabinetry that runs across the top there. They've gone back to a lighter material. And I guess what that's doing is it's lightening the feel of the cabin. So that wood panel at the very far end there draws your eye in. And then these lighter sections tend to sort of blend in with the other areas. And it has that effect, I suppose, of making it feel a little bit larger than it might typically be. There's hanging locker space, generous hanging locker space. There's 2 of these in this stateroom. We've got the flat screen television and the sound bars. And there's also an ensuite head, which looks like this. So we've got that same nice cabinetry, a full-sized shower stall like that, nice VIP ensuite head. If we come back down the companionway, we'll find the boat's day head like this, which has pretty well equipped full shower stall, the bench, that same cabinetry. One thing to note that Riviera have started doing, which I think makes some sense, is they're kind of making this kind of machined integrated basin. So that's all one piece of machined stone. But I suppose what it does is it makes it easier to clean. That's good. And it gives you some more workable space to pop your aftershave or shaving cream or God knows what else on there. So I reckon that's practical, and they look good too. So you've got overhead storage. It's a nice day head, and that also services this third cabin. It's the smaller of the guest cabins. It looks like this. It's 2 singles. These 2 singles can convert to be a double. You'd move this one across that way, and that would give you a double berth. Guests in this have this, I suppose that you'd call that a 3/4 or 2/3 height locker with some room up there for various things. It also has these really nice large window sections, so the view from here, very nice. The same overhead storage. Another television, slightly smaller of course, with a sound bar. So it sets up pretty well in here, and then you've got that direct access into that day head, which would be your ensuite. And the other thing to note is the staterooms on this lower deck so far are all on the same level, so it feels nice to walk around. So that's a really nice guest cabin. The surprise I was referring to is this area here. Another zone that people can come and enjoy. It's just ahead of the owner's stateroom. We'll duck down there in a sec. But it's like your own little mini home cinema, isn't it, on the water? Nice. I suppose that's a 50-inch flat screen TV. You've got the beautiful big hull windows. A lovely spot for you and someone else to come and enjoy. You could grab one of those ottomans from the main deck saloon and pop that there and stretch. Both of you could stretch your legs out. But I reckon that's a really inviting space. And on other boats, you might lose that to a 4th smaller cabin, but I think the way it is, that just makes a lot of sense, and well done to Riv for keeping it like that. Lovely. We'll head down into the owner's stateroom. These grab rails are nice, aren't they? Leather bound. Of course, great quality from Riviera. And the owners, well, you're lucky enough to enjoy this full beam stateroom. It's a king size island berth. The footprint around is really good, so easy to walk around. And then there's quite a bit of storage. You've got this vanity little workspace there with that little ottoman. Nice view out. Hanging lockers. There's quite a few of these. They're full height, so there's 2 of those. There's a full length dressing mirror. That's very practical. And then you've also got this section here underneath the television where you can pop some more personal effects. A little bit of storage, some books up here. That's lovely. And then here you've got this large bank of drawers. So that works super, super well. Actually, what's behind this? I've got one larger one here. Oh, it's like a deep chest. Yep. I thought I might have been missing something. So that's all of the storage. Of course, next to the bed, you've got places to charge your phone, all the light switches, so all of those practicalities. But from here, it looks quite good, doesn't it? That's a lovely, lovely cabin. Stateroom, really, isn't it? The ensuite head is here. It's the most generous of all of the heads on board. Plenty of mirrors, storage, windows, terrific size, shower stall. I just spotted something new. They've got this sort of machined cutout niche for you to put things like shampoo and conditioner and body wash. That's a new thing that they're doing. That's pretty stylish and practical. That looks really good. And then the loo, of course, that works like that. So all in all, it's a really nice, roomy, spacious owner's stateroom. And it also comes with this area here that I reckon would be a perfect spot to put your coffee machine. You could maybe spec it with a small bar fridge under there and make yourself a little espresso to get things going in the morning. How good would that be? Very good. All right, let's kind of switch themes and talk a bit more about some of the practicalities and some of the engineering and servicing aspects. Now, through this door is a utility room. Now, this boat is really, it's owner operated. We stated that at the start, so there's no drama about anybody else coming through here. You are the owner. You have got the access to this. And it's a really generous, and it feels great to be in here, laundry utility room. These are Miele washer and dryers, and you've got this terrific benchtop space here. Great for folding clothes, great for putting your washing basket. You can see the amount of storage we've got just there. You could even plug in an iron. You could have one of those sort of benchtop ironing boards or pop the ironing board here. There's plenty of space here. It's super well designed. And there's also two really large cupboards. All of your cleaning products could go in there. Some extra linen could go in there. This room sets up exceptionally well. Overhead storage. So, this is the sort of boat you could, you could take up the coast, go away for a week, drop into, various ports along the way. It's a real liveaboard boat, and you'd be very comfortable if you were living on it as well. It's terrific. So the last place to duck into is the engine room, which is just through here. Okay, you can just see ahead where that smaller ladder is. That's that door that we saw off the transom that we said we wouldn't come in through. We'd come in through this access, but there is actually a third, which is up that ladder there, which, as you probably guess, takes you up onto the cockpit deck. But stepping in, we'll see what we've got. Well, what we have got is extremely well lit, great headroom. I can't touch the roof if I get up on my toes, so there's well over 6 foot of room down here. And then from a practicality point of view, I can walk all the way around these Volvo Penta engines. That's super practical. And if I come around this side, I've also got great access. You can step down and get to the engines from that space in there. That works super well. And it's the same on this side. You've got access. So look, whoever's got to come down here and take care of things, they're going to have a pretty good experience doing it. On the engines themselves, the standard package are twin Volvo Penta D11s. Now they're the 720 horsepower IPS drives, but you can go for a more powerful version of those, and that's what this particular one has been spec'd with. They're the IPS 1350s, which I think are the 950 horsepower versions of these. Someone might correct me, but from memory, I think that's what they are. And that's going to give this sport yacht a top speed in the sort of low 30s. They tend to sort of top out at around about 31, 32, 33 knots, maybe more, depending on conditions. And the boat carries a touch over 3,000, about 3,300 litres of fuel, or about 870 US gallons. So at those sorts of speeds, typically with these boats, you'll get sort of anywhere from sort of 300 to 400 if you're going fairly quickly, or if you drop the speed right back, you could stretch out considerably more. But enough range for you to dart up the coast, pull in overnight somewhere, and then keep going, refuel, keep going, that type of thing. Beautiful. You can see this is the big bank of Dometic air conditioners. You can see we've got all of those there, so well laid out as an engine room. We've got a pair of generators, which you might have spotted when we came in. Here we've got all of the fuel, transfer fuel across from tank to tank, and then inverters, switching, the house batteries, and then you probably spotted it too, it's one of those shore power systems which allows you to electrically retract the shore power into this tub, and that just makes taking care of that super convenient. It traces all the way up like that onto the deck. It's pretty cool stuff. So there you go. Nice engine room, spotless of course. The boat's pretty new, and you wouldn't expect anything else. That's the big tender that sits in there. It'll take about a 3.5 metre Williams jet tender. So that's pretty cool. Like that. So I reckon I'm going to trace my way back out of that engine room through the owner's stateroom, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts up on the main deck. So there you go, the brand new global launch of this beautiful sports yacht from Riviera. Look, my perspective is, I think people who really appreciate the quality that goes into these builds are going to love this. I think an owner-operator who really wants the extra space of either the 3-cabin or the 4-cabin layout that is available if you do away with that lounge downstairs. For me, I like the option of keeping that area open and using it as another lounge area. You could convert that into a lounge and have some occasional accommodation if you wanted to have 8 guests on board overnight, you can do that. But for me, I think they've really nailed it. The flow through the boat just seems to work exceptionally well. You never feel like you're on top of anything. The capabilities there, I think overall they've just really nailed this one. And I think people either moving up from a smaller sports yacht, or maybe someone moving down from maybe like a larger sports motor yacht, are going to really appreciate the space and the livability, and the guest experience on this one I think is going to be exceptional. So let me know what you think though. That's just my perspective, but great to get you on board this. You're the first to see it, and I'll see you next week on another one. Bye for now.